So, welcome to another episode of what I call Method in Madness. So, as I explained earlier in the earlier episode, this is not a masterclass. Neither is this any form of entrepreneurship clinic where people would mount the stage and then propose entrepreneurship to anything like the solution to every problem we have, teleneting. So this is more of a no hold back, no filtered approach from someone like me who has been in the game for about 10 years. So I think when I started the first episode, I talked about how I transitioned and how I moved from corporate life into this madness we call entrepreneurship. And I think I also talked about how myself and my co-founder, Mike, we met. And in this episode, I think we are going to talk about, I call this episode maybe Dubai Unhinged. And as I think Dubai Unhinged Dubai Unhinged is a good one. So this podcast or this vlog will basically talk about how the transition from the corporate life to the entrepreneurship life started. And this, Charlie, go find out for any textbook, any MBA class or whatever. So when Mike and I arrived in Dubai for the accelerator, the first point was to be able to start a business. Charlie, these be boys way coming from a corporate life, very little training on how some of these things work. But I think we're more than determined to start a business. We didn't know what the future held. And when they sent us the acceptance letter, I think a lot of the legal jargons, but here the next kind we're looking at the money. So one of the key things I think which and I get this a lot from most people who are looking to start a business, actually, should I go solo or should I get partners to work with me like a co-founder? It all depends on the kind of venture you want to do. There are some businesses that you can do solo. There are some businesses that you need to have complementary skill sets, Charlie. Where the ABA, where the BBABA. This one brings A, this one brings B, and then all of you bring those two together to form a cohesive business. So, okay, if you remember your chemistry, covalent bond, etc., I think this is between two particles to form stronger. I think in most cases for a tech business, for example, where you are looking to create a high growth business, not the usual mom and pops or corner shop. No offense to mom and pop or corner shops, but if you're looking to grow a high growth tech business, you need to have a co-founder, at least somebody who play a complementary skill set to you. So, or if you are somebody who is good at marketing and you're looking to build a tech company, you need to have somebody who is good at the tech side to be able to build, because at the starting point, cash no day, people no get money. So you can't be hiring all the people. So you have to wear multiple hats. Somebody doing the development, somebody doing the marketing, the product, etc. So how was life starting off as new founders? And I think one of the key things where most people miss is your co-founder or your business partner is as important or more important than even an idea you have. I always say idea is just an idea. It takes people to do the execution. And your co-founder is somebody who can make or break you. Many a times, most people go through this because they know the person and they say, okay, this is somebody I know, let's start a business, let's just wing it as we go along. No, we don't do that. From day one, there have to be a lot of processes in place. I think the first one is when you identify your co-founder, you need to come up with what we call a co-founders agreement. So this is an agreement that basically spells out the roles and responsibility of everybody within the organization, and in most cases, there's just the two of you. If you are co-founders, it's the three of you who are going to start. If you are two, it's the two of you. Everybody will have a role and everybody will have an equity in the business. So the co-founders agreement will basically spell out the agreement that is binding for all the founders in the business. So it says, okay, we are willing to give you this amount of shares in the business, but then the shares will have to go through a period of time before you get it. We'll come to that. We call it the shares vesting. Most businesses start and say, okay, fine, we start, and then everybody gets 50%. If there are 2 or if there are 4, everybody gets 25%. But then if you find out that even though you are co-founders, if you give out equity upfront, there's a tendency for people to just sit back. Charlie, all hands are not equal. All the fingers are not equal. There are some who put in more work than the others. And I've seen a lot of free riders. We call them free riders. They come along, you give them equity, and then they sit back. So at the beginning, you know good things say, you know go blow. And when a business is worth $1 million plus in valuation, and one day you decide to do, you just sell it, you notice that, Charlie, this guy has held on to, let's say, about 10 or 15% for no work done. At that point, look if you come out, it's a whole legal gymnastics around it that, Charlie, you are better off giving the equity to the person than going through all this legal wahala. So the co-founder agreement is something that binds the co-founders together. So we had a co-founder agreement, and we did share vesting. So the share vesting is basically an approach that says, okay, we are going to be in this business for a long time. See, business is like marriage. Your co-founder is going to be like a partner. And they are going to be in this for a long time. You have disagreement, you have fights, etc. The vesting will say, since we're starting a new business, every year, if I promise you, let's say 50% of the business, every year you get about 15%. Over this number of period, so let's say 6 years, until the 6th year where you get a full equity, then you are part of it. And this, you put this in place because you don't want what we call a bad liver to happen. But if you front load all the equity to the person in the beginning, you find out that the person will just leave and then still take away the equity, and they have it out in the business. Once you put your signature on any legal document, trust me, it's binding. So you do what we call the shares vesting, and then you vest over time. That also ensures accountability and hard work. Now everybody knows that every year, based on the KPIs and the target that they set for me, if I do this, I get this equity in return. So everybody puts their shoulders to the wheel. Then also there's going to be a lot of personality clash, Charlie. That one there, you can't run away from it. We are different people who have come together to form a business. You find out, you see different temperaments. If you take Mike and I, for example, Mike is, we're all laid back, but I'm more out there. I think that's why maybe I'm the CEO. Mike always wants to be behind. That's why he's the CTO. But that doesn't mean the various personality clashes you don't respect. There are some who are more domineering, some who are also just laid back. And then you find out that every temperament counts because you can't have it your way every time. In meetings, you have to really agree on something to move on. There's always this saying that a deal is a good deal when both parties leave the table unhappy, which means nobody got what they want. So that is one key thing. Personality traits, you have to find out that the person you are going into this long-term business relationship with, is this somebody I can call at night to talk about so many things? Is this somebody when we have issues, we are going to resolve it well? Is this somebody that can have the companies at heart to grow the business? So all these things should come into play when you are choosing that. So one, we've talked about co-founders agreement. We've talked about personality traits. We've talked about some of the clashes that are happening, some of the good things, some of the bad things, etc. We've talked about the legal registration. So for us, for example, when we moved to Dubai, Charlie, we had to do, even though the business was registered in Ghana as a starting point, when you are trying to raise money from investors outside the country, they want you to take your shareholding company to a place where they call it investor friendly. And in most cases, it's either the US, Mauritius, in some of the British Virgin Islands. So when we're in Dubai, we couldn't set up a Dubai free zones company because of the cost implications, etc. So we had to set up the company in British Virgin Islands, BVI for short. So we set an offshore account that had the shareholding. And because people are going to invest in a company, they're going to take shares. That is why the shareholding company is situated in an area where investors say, okay, once there's a dispute, we can resolve it quickly. Once there's even political, environmental, whatever it is, it can be resolved quickly. So all of us, we are about 7 or 8 companies in the Turn8 Accelerator, Charlie, from different places. Some from Georgia. I don't think you know Georgia is a country. India, Spain, Africa, everywhere. And these were people with different ideas who have come together. So we form what we call a cohort. A cohort is like a class where you're going through an intensive 3 months acceleration program. And there are various things that they teach you, various topics, how to pitch, how to speak, how to do your business model, how to do your financial. It's like you do MBA under pressure. They cram everything within a 3-month period and then after that, you go to do what we call a demo day, where you pitch to some supposed investors. I put that in inverted commas because I'll come to that, where you raise money. So mostly when you go into that space, you think, okay, everything's supposed to be linear. Oh, once I get accepted to accelerator, I go to 3 months, investors are going to be waiting for me at the end of the accelerator with bags of money. Say, fuck no, that's what's not gonna happen. You find out that, Charlie, that is where the rubber meets the road, and is really, really, really a crazy one. For us, when we started Swappaholics, yes, when we were in Dubai, and the shareholding company was in the British Virgin Islands. And then you get to understand even some of the setup of these offshore companies, Charlie, is a whole legal gymnastics. Legal was charging us somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 for company setup. Charlie, I sit down, calculate the thing in cities, but I say, yeah, all this money they'll come up with all sorts of legal documents, shareholders agreement, because now you brought in new partners. Well, so you have to sign a shareholder agreement. So now the business has moved from the founders to bringing in investors. So you have to sign what we call the shareholders agreement, and this specifies the terms. And Charlie, trust me, at that point, you need a legal person to review all this. There are some legal stuff that you might not understand. Full ratchet, liquidation preference. It's a whole lot of bullshit. But and as a founder, you're always looking at the money. Anybody give you money, always want to protect their interest. So that if you are not careful, you go and sign a very cannibalized term sheet where the investor is looking to protect only their interest. And trust me, you might be at the losing end. So that is one. You seek legal opinion on so many things that you sign, be it whatever document that you are going to append your signature on. So life in Accelerator is quite it's a fast-paced one. There are various every day and it's various activities that you are doing. And one of the key things you are going to learn how to do as a founder or as a business owner is your ability to speak and convince people. That one, you can't say, me, I'm shy, I'm an introvert, I don't like people, I can't talk. If you are an introvert, you can't talk, your best bet is to be an employee. No offense, look for a very good job. Make sure you go to school, you get a good grades, you get a good job. Be in a department where you don't have to speak to people. So your job is just to work, get paid, and go home. But if you want to become a business owner, you have to put the shyness away in the back, tie it, and then throw it into the ocean, because you are going to interact with thousands and thousands of people. You need to be able to articulate what your business vision is, what your growth strategies are, etc. So, Charlie, casa de betasa. So even networking, you have to go for networking, etc. So as a business, all these things you get to learn that in the accelerator. So as for example, every Friday you have to come and do a pitch, Charlie. And trust me, those who say you have stage fright, fuck it. Stage fright will disappear because you will be pushed to the limit. Charlie, somebody, they give you money. So you are coming in as a greenhorn and you are coming out as a professional. So one of the key things that I found very interesting was the pitch. So the pitch is you have to be able to condense your thoughts in very limited amount of time. There's one that we call the elevator pitch, that you have to be able to describe your business in 60 or 90 seconds, Charlie. It knows you, and Ghanaians, we like talking. We like to beat about the bush, and I want to do this, blah, 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 before we come to the point. No. You have to be more concise and sharper than a blade to be able to articulate whatever you are saying within 60 seconds. Even when you go to do the actual pitch itself, selling your business, you have to do that within under 5 minutes. And you have to speak about 10 different points. The team, traction, vision, growth strategy, etc., etc. So you have to learn how to be as brief as possible, Don't be talking like a politician, they just like talk. Sometimes there's only just about 40 or 50% relevance. The rest is just normal chatting. Somebody call chat shits, and that's what they do. So you have to be able to condense, and that's a lot that teaches you that how to refine your business model to make sure that whatever you're saying is clear. And there's something that I also learned that I think most founders and most Ghanaians, initial founders lack is how you speak. Naturally, I'm a very fast speaker. When I'm talking off business with friends and Caliph, if booze is that small, I speak fast. Sometimes I think people say I speak faster than how I call their raps. But if you are looking to communicate a business, you can't speak fast. You can't be speaking and then you end. And sometimes I think when people are nervous, they tend to speak too fast. And most West African people, we speak fast. And sometimes because of the accent, you lose a lot of people. Imagine you are speaking to people who are not West Africans, and then you are rattling through whatever I'm saying. At the end of the day, they say, what the fuck is this person saying? Or what did this guy say that we didn't hear anything? So there's something that you have to learn, which we call how to be able to speak. You have to be. So it's just like you doing a voice training for those who go to journalism school, how to do your pauses, how to do the tempo. So this is a trick that I use. Because I speak fast, I have two personalities. And even on this podcast, I'm trying to speak as slow as possible. I have a normal self-personality where I speak, and then I have my business personality. It's like, so that is how you segment the two. And when it's the business pitching personality, whatever you speak, you have to be able to enunciate, speak slowly for people to hear and hear you clearly. Even the way you hold the mic is important. Some people put the mic in their mouth as if they are sucking lollipop. You have to hold the mic at a certain angle where whatever you speak comes out clearly. You speak, you pause. When you're speaking to people, let people digest what you're saying. All this thing they get to teach you. So you are becoming a professional in terms of how you speak. And trust me, when you go through this mill, there's nowhere where you can speak. I remember when we were in Accelerator, the first pitch, it was just the Accelerator people. There were just not many people, about 20. One day there was a competition it wasn't even a competition, it was a competition for other people. And then they said, let's showcase the A-starters that we have. Fog. There were about 100 people in there. So imagine you go to see all these people looking at you. And that was even the tip of the iceberg. There was something they call annual investors meeting that was happening in Dubai. And it's a conference for people all over the world. So one day, I think we had the accelerator and then we got to that. And then the program manager told us, hey, we've selected you guys to go and pitch at the annual investors meeting. Charlie, these are conferences where people, head of states are there, business leaders. And in the room, there were I can hazard a guess, about 3,000 people in that huge conference room. They give you the mic, they put you on stage. That is the longest 5 minutes of your time. If you are not careful, you actually shit in your pants. And you have to be able to clearly articulate your business idea. At that point, there's no turning back. You can't say, oh, Charlie, I can't do this, I can't do that. You have to go on stage and pitch. All the 8 of us went on stage. Even though at that point we were at the very early stage, I could see a lot of mistakes we did, but trust me, a lot of us were able to deliver. Not the best, but we were able to communicate what we were looking to based on the trainings that we have. And that is some of the key things you get to go through when you get coaching on this business. There are so many things that they teach you how to do your business model. When you're setting a business, how are you going to make money? It is not an NGO. You need to make revenue. You need to make money. You need to convince people that this is how we are going to make money, etc., etc., etc. Then, of course, you have to look at the social aspect of it. It's not always just this fast-paced MBA kind of thing, but there are so many things there, Charlie. Yeah, there's Dubai, Charlie, we don't go for booze, but there are so many things that we did. Barbecue, we went for desert safari. The program manager invited us to his house for some cookout, etc. All the way to be able to create a bond. And trust me, it was an intensive treatment, but we made a lot of friends. And the good thing is, you make friends all over the world that once you pick up a phone and say, hey, I'm in your city, they just can't wait to host you. I think I practically have friends in almost every country that I know of, that when I step in there and say, hey, Charlie, I'm in your city, they won't blink twice before they come and meet me, because they know that this guy or this person, we had some form of good relationship. And the whole concept of an accelerator is to help entrepreneurs succeed. But Charlie, it'll be so it happen every time. You find out that not every startup within the accelerator is going to succeed, Charlie. About 70 or 80% of them will fail. And we said we fail. The first company we started, Swappaholics, it was part of this accelerator. We all left the accelerator, tried to raise additional, tried to grow their business. We failed. We failed because at that point, we had some of the big players who were coming. If you know Turn8, if you know the rest, they are coming. So their platform was competing with us. We had to shut down our shop. Out of the 8 businesses that went through all this accelerator program, only one became a unicorn. If we say a unicorn, somebody who the business valuation is in excess of 1 billion. It's called PAC, P-A-C-K. And they are a logistics company based in Spain. All the rest of us, Charlie, we chop sand. Our businesses went under. And that's the truth I have to tell a lot of some of these first timers. Charlie, your first, second business might go to shit. It might not work out. You are not, the first time success founders like Facebook, etc. It's 1 in a billion now. And it's a learning curve because you learn, you improve, you learn, you improve, you know where all the stop gaps are. So don't think, Charlie, this is a business I'm setting up and all of a sudden I'm going to be a billionaire and I'm going to be featured in Forbes 30 under 30. No, it's not going to happen. There are 99% chance that your first business will fail. Even your second business will fail. It's probably the third one where you are more focused when you know the ins and the outs of this business or this trade that you get to know that for a business to succeed, it goes beyond just execution and even the kind of idea you have, Charlie. Somebody must put a foot in the door for you. I've stayed in this game long enough to know that your ideas are not the only thing that will make you succeed, or even the people behind it. No, Charlie. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of things that you have to do to be able to succeed. And it all comes down to how you are able to network, how to have the right people in your corner who can put a foot in the door for you, who can give you recommendations. Because people have to trust people, and somebody giving you money to grow their business must be able to trust you. The investor will say, is this somebody that I can call at even 3 a.m. to speak about nothing that is not even related to business? It can be personal life. It's somebody when I can call and say, is this somebody I want to hang out with? And they look at all those options. So it's not just because I have a fantastic business. And that's what the lie that they tell a lot of these young people coming up. Charlie, you have a good business, execute it, you make money. No, please. It doesn't work like that. Your people skill matter more than the business itself. For founders who have become so successful, Charlie, you should look at their people skills. You should learn from how their people skills are. So that is more of how a 360 view of how what they don't tell you when these motivational speakers, business coaches, life coaches, God, I hate that word. Life coaches. We've been on earth only once and you're a coach already. How many times are you going to coach? What do you already know that we don't know? So it's something that you have to really experience, something that you have to, and I like to hold some of these no hold back conversations because I think it gives a lot of people practical insights into so many of these things. You can go to the best business school, but Charlie, if you've not built a business before, if you not get your hands burned before, a lot of these things they'll tell you are just theory. So, as I mentioned, 8 of us went to Accelerator, all hoping to become the next Steve Jobs. Life said, fuck all of you. I'll just take one. The rest of you have to go back and do your assignment to start something else. Maybe the first idea that you brought in was not worth it. We have to start something else. So that is more on today's episode of how, when you are starting out as a co-founder, how to plan things. And I think the takeaway for me here is, I've always said that your idea is good, your co-founder, your partners are good, but your people skill matter the most. That is what will separate a successful entrepreneur from somebody who thinks just execution is just sit behind the desk and then do everything one. No. As much as you are in this, make sure that you know people know you. Somebody is willing to put a foot in the door for you. You should be so unconventional that sometimes you have to forget your values and your norms. I'm not saying go out of your way to do things that, but for example, I'll cite an example. There was one time we're doing some fundraising, and we had some investors who are coming from Germany, and they come and do what they call due diligence. We'll talk about this in subsequent episodes. I took them to the north. We combed the entire north. They met the farmers. They met people. They were so excited. Then they said, it was a Friday night. They said, Charlie, let's hang out. It was a man and a woman. Let's hang out. We've had, and we went by road, so they were tired. So they wanted to hang out before we leave on Sunday. So Saturday was supposed to be a rest day. So it's Charlie where it's a fun place in Tamale. Charlie quickly had to call a friend to say, Charlie, where I go fit take this people go, the Wambuzo. I say, Charlie, go this place. We went there. Charlie, there was a life of the party. I know how white people like our club beer. Charlie, they were drinking the club beer. We all the booze. And then they start through one question. So what keeps you up awake at night? You know, that's a question that most founders don't think about thoroughly. What part of the business keeps you up awake? And imagine answering that question when you're drunk. I had to quickly summon all my Captain Planet powers to answer. Maybe they also drank, but they didn't really guess. So it was one of the things that I took that Charlie. Even you have to be able to. I could have said, Charlie, I don't want to hang out. I just want to sleep and I'm tired. Blah blah blah. And when we came back, I think that was one of the highlights of the journeys. And they actually invested in the company. So the takeaway from this, Charlie, your people skill matter a lot. So I think I'll catch you on the next episode. And I'll leave this, this saying before I sign off. That has been my mantra for some time now. It says, leap and the nets will appear. Just think deeply about it and then let me know what you think.